Hi Rani, I'm recording this video to explain my code that how it is working. So when we select the items from here and press this button, uh, it call the on the backend the Ajax call went to this file sent to QB, and here is the code that your developer added the MySQL query to get all the data. And here I have checked if the client ID is not empty. I mean, if there is a client, then we first check, we grab that account simply from the from the database, and here we are checking if that client already have the QuickBooks ID. If it does not already have QuickBooks ID, then what we are doing in here that we are getting all the customers from the QuickBooks, and we are returning it as in a pop-up, and here below we are, based on the data of the line items, we are creating the JSON uh, format. I mean the body of the invoice that we will send to QuickBooks to create the invoice in here in this item. Here we are creating the line items, and here we are creating the invoice, and here we are checking if the invoice is already synced. Then we are getting the invoice QuickBooks ID here. Here invoice ID. Yeah, sorry. Here basically here we check if those appointment have already the QuickBooks ID, then we store it into this variable, and at this place we check if the invoice ID is not empty. It means that the invoice is already synced with the QuickBooks. In that case, we will not create a new invoice, but we will update an existing invoice. Again, here we checked if customer sync equal to true. It means the customer is already mapped and already synced with the QuickBooks. In that case, we will just create a new invoice. This is the call to create a new invoice, and when we receive a response from the QuickBooks, we are updating the QuickBooks ID against that each appointment we have selected from here. And we also, I'm also getting the PDF file from the QuickBooks and just storing it in this folder with the invoice and invoice dash invoice number. What I'm doing here that I'm just saving the file here. Let's say if we update the invoice, the if we create a new, if the system is creating a new invoice, then it will create this file. Let's suppose you have updated the invoice in the CRM, and when it got updated in the CRM, the same file is replaced with the new updated invoice. So with this name you will always find the updated PDF file for that invoice. Okay, let's suppose in the else part, it does mean that the customer is already not synced with the QuickBooks. So in this case, we are returning the complete customers list, and the invoice data we created as here in the JSON file. We storing it temporarily in a JSON file. So when customer will map the QuickBooks customer, I mean your client will map the QuickBooks customer from the drop down. We can use this invoice JSON file to sync the invoice. Okay, when customer, let's suppose we fall into this condition or this part. This part is returning the list of customers. So when customer um, choose to map the existing for customer from the drop down, or decide to create a new customer. When he hit the confirm button, the call is sent to this file. Let me open. And here in this file, the above is same. Some files already included: the database connection, the QuickBooks client, API configurations file. And here basically what we are doing, that yes, we are getting the temporarily saved distance file, the invoice data, and then here we see if customer is decide to uh, create a new customer, or if they try to match an existing customer. So if the customer QuickBook ID, whatever a customer choose from the drop down, we are updating that customer QuickBooks ID against our clients in the database. If customer decide to create a new customer in the QuickBooks, then this will fall into this part, and here we are getting the client's data from the database, and we are creating here a new customer in the QuickBooks. Then when we create then when the customer is mapped or customer is created in the QuickBooks, at that time we are taking the invoice data that we stored in a JSON file, and we are creating here the invoice in the QuickBooks. We are creating, or we are updating the invoice if it is already synced using this file, using the same file. Let me show you something here. If we are passing in the invoice the ID, the old invoice ID, which is already synced, it means that we are syncing an existing invoice. I mean, we are updating the invoice in the QuickBooks. So in that case, the QuickBooks invoice number will not be changed. And here, let me show you. Here we are creating in this response, we have the invoice complete data that we have created in the QuickBooks. We also have the QuickBooks invoice number. So you can here basically in this variable we have the QuickBooks invoice number. So you can use this variable anywhere if you want to update somewhere in the database. I hope this makes sense. Let me know if you have any questions or regarding the code or anything. Thank you.